In this lesson, we're going to learn how to write a toString method to be able to print our objects, and we're going to learn the equals method to compare objects. Let's get into how we do that. So we have our dog.java and our kennel.java from our previous lesson. And in our dog.java, our dog class here, we want to define what is going to be printed to the screen for our dog. So we can use that using the toString method. Now the toString method actually comes from the overarching Java object class and allows us to print any object to the screen, but we can define it. And we're going to talk about why this works and how this works much later when we get to inheritance. But for now, all we have to know is that we can write a special method called toString that will allow us to print. So let's go ahead and do that. It needs to be a public, and it needs to return a string, and it needs to be called toString, exactly like this. And I put the little foot on the T there to signify that it's lowercase. This needs to be exactly this, right? If it's anything other than public string, toString, this will not work. It needs to be written exactly as I have this here. Now, once we have that defined, I think I need to move this over a little bit. Yes, I do. So once I have that defined here, toString, move this over just so that it's in line with everything else. My indentation is as clean as possible. Public string, toString, I am now able to create what's going to print to the screen. So I'm going to go ahead, and again, our simple example here, we're going to go ahead and return our age. And we can return this as a string. So we can say return dog's age. And we can concatenate age, semicolon. And now, if I go over to my kennel class and I do a .out.println of Fido, this will now outputs dog's age is 5, as we recall from our Fido when we created and instantiated our first dog object. So this will print out, it will implicitly call our toString method, which will return whatever I put in my return statement. And I can make this more complex. I could add other things in there and return a more complex string. It doesn't have to be just something simple like this. I could build a long complex string to print out that information. So that's how we do our toString, and that's how we're able to print out our objects and get the information out quickly that way. But it only returns a string, so we don't have data. We want to use our getters and setters, our mutators and accessors when we want to use specific data from our class. One of the things we might want to do is we might want to compare two objects. And remember that if we use our double equal sign when we're comparing two objects, it's only comparing their memory locations, those references. We want to compare what those objects look like on the inside. Are our two dogs the same dog? So we can then create an equals method. So we're going to use a precise name for our method. So we're going to say public Boolean. So we're going to return true or false. And we can return, we're going to call this equals. And inside the equals, we need to be very specific here. We're going to take a dog argument, and we're going to go ahead and call that dog other. And our open curly brace. A little tight there, but we got it. So we have our other dog. Now what we need to do is compare our other dog with the current dog. And a way to do this is to use our basic if statements. And ideally, we're going to compare all of the fields. That's really what we want to do. We want to make sure are all of the fields the same. In this case, we only have one field, so we're only going to check one thing. And we use our if statement. So if our other dog dot get age, in this case, we can use a double equals our get age of this object. So if this is true, if the other dog dot get age equals get age of this dog, of our current dog, then we can return true. And we'll do this. Otherwise, return false. So in this way, we are comparing all of the fields. Compare the fields. And you're going to use accessors. So if I want to compare Fido and Yeller here, I can say if Fido dot equals Yeller, then I can do something. I could do, let's say, system dot out dot print yay. So let's walk through how this would work. Fido dot equals Yeller. Fido, if we recall, is going to have an age of 5, and Yeller is going to have an age of 7. So let's go ahead, let's do this over here. Or actually, I'm going to do it way down at the bottom. Let's do it way down at the bottom. Keep these notes vertical. So we're going to have two dog objects. Dog and dog. Okay? And one of them is going to be Fido, right? That is a memory reference that points to this one. And the other one is going to be Yeller. That is a memory reference that points to this object. This dog object is going to have age with a lowercase a, age equals to 5, and this one is going to have age equal to 7. So these two objects are going to have the two different values, both of dog type, and when we call our get age on this one and our get age on this one, we're going to get two different values because this is going to return 5. It's going to spit out 5. And this one is going to spit out 7. Because remember, my ages are private, so I need these get ages in order to get the information back out. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we call our if statement and our equals. We need another closing curly brace here. Move this down a little bit. So when we call Fido's.equals Yeller, Fido is going to call our .equals method over here. And Yeller is going to be passed in as other. So remember that other, when we pass in an object, is going to be pointing to our same Yeller object. So now we have other pointing to this same object because it gets the copy of Yeller. So other is now pointing to our same dog object that Yeller is pointing to. So we say other.getAge. Other.getAge, we get a value of 7. So this is going to be a value of 7 when we evaluate this. GetAge, when we call that of our Fido object, because that's the object we're in, right? We're calling it from Fido. So we're already in Fido. We're calling .equals, and then we call getAge from within there. We get the value of 5. So this becomes 5. 5 does not equal 7, so it does not return true. Instead, it returns false. And our system.out.println, this does not run. This is false. Okay, this is how we get into and run our equals and toString methods. And this is a quick way to be able to compare objects, print objects, and we now have a pretty thorough understanding of how to be able to manipulate and use objects within our code. Now it's on you to be able to create more complex objects that have more fields, more methods to do the things that our real-life objects actually do. All right, I'll see you guys in the next lesson on how to do just that.